being in the early 2000s. You know, I mean, hey, we got a little bit of it. I like music. I'm very artsy. I like video games and movies, like really cool movies, and I'm very artsy, kind of a unk at heart. I'm a little bit of an old head. I ain't gonna cap to you. I like, you know, old school music. This music now, man. Me out. Count me out this time. Count me out. I wanted to just come on here and make a YouTube video and just talk about my life a little bit and the stuff that I've been through, in my early 20s. And, I'm not so much in my early 20s anymore. I'm about to be 24. But it is early 20s, but you know what I mean? I'm not in my early 20s. I think early 20s is 21 to 23, and I'm about to be 24, but I wanted to just talk about that, and just talk about it, talk about it. You know how, like, TLC wanted to talk about sex? Let's talk about being in your early 20s. You put condoms on let's talk about our early 20s, like how TLC talked about sex, Yeah, so I've been through some stuff, right? I got a story, So, I've always been a chunky girl. I've always been my whole life. But, I didn't really care. I didn't really care how I looked when I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade. I didn't really care. But when I got older, when I was like 18, well, actually, I've been on diets when I was younger, like 12 years old. Never lasted. Lost 20 pounds. Gained it back. You feel me? But, I went on this health journey when I was about 19, 18, I can't remember. And I was 300 pounds, right? Mind you, I was 300 pounds. At first it was cool. Losing weight, feeling better, lighter, healthier, Then as you go on, you kind of get addicted to losing weight a little bit, You kind of get into that groove where it's like, dang, I didn't mean to lose this much, but why stop now? Why would I stop losing weight if I accidentally lost weight? So I became 200 pounds, then 180, and then 160. Then I became a whopping 130 pounds. 130 pounds. And completely miserable. No energy. Was not myself, like, at all whatsoever. Was weak all the time. Mind you, I was in the winter walking, snow up to my shin, was walking in the winter. It would literally, my rule was, I am not laying down on my bed until 8 p.m. I'm not laying down until 8 p.m. Dead ass. I'm not laying down until 8 p.m. And that was the rule, man. That was my rule, man. For real. I was not laying down on that bed until 8 p.m. I was not playing. I was gonna lose calories. Even if I was a minute off, I would feel so guilty. I'm like, it's 7:59. I'm so tired. I just want to lay down. I lay down and I'll feel so guilty, bro. And I'm just telling you, That's how strict I was with everything in my life. Even just laying down, lost all my muscles. It's not like I was in the hospital because I was anorexic or anything. I was getting there though. I was 100% getting there, but I just want to tell you how strict I was about losing weight. And my weight always fluctuated. I would do really well for 3 months, then I would binge eat, gain a bunch of weight. I probably gained weight and then kept the weight on for a long time, and then I would finally get into I would finally be 130 pounds again, and then I gain weight and then be 130 pounds. It probably happened about 3 times. It didn't happen several times. It happened like 3 times. That's enough. You gain weight, you're 130 pounds. You gain weight, and then you lose 100. It was that cycle for a little bit. You feel me? And then I got a job. I loved working because I would always be moving. I loved it. I'm like, yes, I'm always moving. I'm losing weight. I don't gotta worry about working out all the time. My only workouts would be on the weekends when I was off. But after work, I would still go for long walks, But I loved working because it was a schedule. It was a strict schedule where I could move all day, lose a bunch of calories, come home and eat one meal, go to sleep, and do the same thing, right? Move around all day for 8 hours on the schedule, moving around, not gaining weight. The only goal that I had in that moment was to always be moving around and look fit and look good. I did not want to be fat. You feel me? I did not want to be fat. I didn't want to identify with that anymore. I didn't want to be the big girl. I didn't want that anymore. I hated that. I would look back at pictures and I would be like, why didn't nobody tell me? I would be like, I would look at pictures and be like, y'all should have told me what I looked like, because I looked terrible to me, right? I mean, hey, that's just what it was. I looked bad. I was 300 pounds at 17 years old. So yeah, I looked how I looked. But my family members didn't care. They was just like, that's Kiana. That's Sissy. You feel me? What we eating? But working my job, my weight was good. I looked how I wanted to look, but I was very stressed about my addiction to losing weight. I was very stressed about I got in trouble at work and I got fired. Well, at work and I got fired, and I lost my world. I lost my schedule. I lost my, what I would do throughout the day. And I didn't have a car, and I don't have a car, and I just didn't want to take Ubers to work. I didn't want to find another job. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do, you know what I mean? And felt nostalgic to give me comfort. Started just like getting high, having panic attacks from weed. The, the amount of panic attacks I've had is so. But every panic attack, I'm telling you, after every panic attack, you feel like you aged. I'm telling you, bro, you feel like after every panic attack, you feel like you aged. Bro, it was just this trashy cycle of just like trashiness, right? I was so sad and mad at myself because I knew the potential I had and it was just wasted, and a lot of things were wasted. My early 20s, like, I mean, like, I was 21 when that stuff happened, like, and now I'm 23, almost 24. And I'm just like, damn, bitch, you wasted a lot of potential, you feel me? You wasted your money. But, yeah, like, I was just in that cycle of I'm big now, I'm big again. I can't let nobody see me. I'm isolating myself. I don't have a job. I don't have money. And I ran out of my $9,000. And I was just there, you know. I was very much just there at home. do wish, because I feel like as the only girl in a family full of boys, you feel me? You're looked at as someone who's supposed to do everything. I'm looked at as more I'm looked at as more powerful than them. You know, I'm looked at as more you you could take it. You know, you do it. Oh, she could do it. She clean that up. She can handle that. Just get a job. Just get a job. Just get up off your ass and get a job. I'm looked at as someone who could take it. You feel me? I am. That's just, if you know, you know, you know. You just know, you know. If you know, you know. You know, moms don't care. Moms ain't worried. Moms ain't really worried. You feel me? Moms ain't really emotionally in tune like I am. You feel me? So, you know. So I'm basically still talking about 2 years, 2.5 years of isolating myself from everything. It's so funny because I didn't even want to step outside. I didn't even want to look outside. I'm like, people are gonna see me and they're gonna be like, dang, she gained a bunch of weight. Dang. You know, I didn't even want to step outside on the porch. And what really helped me, and I realized, because we were in the process of moving. We finally got the okay to move, or like we got in the apartment, right? We got the okay to that we were moving, and I was so happy about that because I didn't like where we were, and I had to get up off my ASS. And I knew the only way that I would get up and be able to physically like help move stuff out of the apartment to the new apartment was if I started stretching and moving my body every day. So what I did, I had a mat that I had from previously, you know, stressing about working out. I had a mat and I had music. I had a mat and I had music. I would get on that mat and I would stretch and I would move my body. I would move my body for about 40 minutes. Every day, I think it was every day. If it wasn't every day, it was every other day. Get up, move my body. And that would help me. It would help me physically, help me mentally, feel more confident. It would help me a lot. And that really did help me, you know? I was the one moving stuff out the, you know, apartment. Me and my mom was the only ones moving stuff, you know. Boys ain't doing nothing. Y'all men just, like, they got their own problems. But I'm saying, like, that helped me move, that helped my body be more in tune. It helped me become more fit, you know. But, yeah, that helped me a lot. And I got a job. My life. Film completely changed. Uh, and I've been losing weight naturally now. I've been losing weight naturally. And that comes with moving more. Like I was on my ASS for 2 years. I've been working for six months and just moving my body. You know, there's a walking trail that I go and sweets just don't really do it for me anymore. Don't get me wrong. I like my sweets. You see? Like, food, I have a different relationship with food don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what it is. I don't like a bunch of heavy foods anymore. Like, I will eat rice and vegetables and chicken. And it all made sense.